I teach you?
You are Duke of New York. You're a number one.
I can't hear you.
You are the Duke of New York. You're a number one.
Peace. Can everybody hear me? If making sure. Excellent. 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 Everybody can hear me, right? Excellent. Hope everybody's well, inshallah. A lot going on, as we all know. Hope everybody's been doing the knowledge to everything. Yeah, so much, bro. Thanks to everybody that's joining us for the first time. We really appreciate your support. Thanks to everybody that's been giving their testimonials and stuff about the subject matter we've been building on for the past month and a half. And a lot of the reawakened memories that they've tried to suppress for so long coming into play. So we definitely want to give respect to that. You know what I mean? Yeah, a lot going on, as they say. Well, first, definitely, as they say, or used to say, happy, what is this, Black History Month, for those people who still consider themselves as Black or Negro, colored, African American, or whatever. You know what I mean? I'm not telling you what to do, or how to do it, or how to see yourself, but some people still identify with that, and we're not trying to necessarily exclude them. Because everybody comes into knowledge, wisdom, and understanding at their own pace. You know what I mean? So, as they say, you can lead a person to a book, but you can't make them read. So, inshallah, they'll come into the understanding of what those terms mean and how they've been used to inflict such damage on our people over the years. However, for those of us that know better, we got to do better. So, I definitely want to give honors and respect for that. Also, today is the 1st. So on the 1st of every month, if you didn't know, we're supposed to, there's an old Moorish custom. Let me see if I can pull it up. There's an old Moorish custom called Rabbit Rabbit. I don't know if y'all know about that. And Rabbit Rabbit is basically what you would do at the beginning of every month. Some people who have rabbits basically hold them in their hands and say rabbit rabbit at least 3 or 4 times. Why? Because rabbits or hares represent things coming into existence and being abundant, because rabbits multiply drastically. You know what I'm saying? Also, rabbits are very in tune with the electromagnetic frequency on the planet. So we definitely want to honor that and keep up the old traditions. You know what I'm saying? Because it's the old oral traditions that keep it going. These are 2 of my rabbits. The big one is the one with the beard is named Biggie. The one with the other one is Tupac. And it's not really playing, so I'm gonna just pause it. They like to eat, as you can see. And as they eat, you know what I mean, I tend to watch them sometimes and really kind of zone out because they're so content, you know what I mean, in what they eating, that you can sometimes, it literally will calm you, believe it or not. And rabbits are very particular with people. So if you ever see a rabbit like lick somebody or something, they really like the individual. You know what I mean? So according to the rabbit tradition, which they say is superstition, rabbit, like various white rabbits, as your first words of the month, which is believed to bring good luck, as they say, good fortune, for the entire month, linking it to fertility and new beginnings, while others trace early mentions to the children's rhymes in the UK and famous believers like FDR and Sarah Jessica Peterson for modern times. When to say it: upon waking up on the first day of the month, before speaking any words, you say rabbit, rabbit. Some people say white rabbits, some people say bunny, bunny. It depends on whatever. But like I said, this is something that I was taught. I remember my grandmother saying stuff like this as a child, and then it was reawakened to me by Moabitis, who's into the elemental works later in life. So I started doing a nod to it. So then when we got the rabbits, I started doing the same thing, and shit started flowing. You know what I mean? Believe it or not. Some traditions say that you're supposed to say it in reverse, T-bar, T-bar. But, whatever. Adding black rabbit for safety if you forget the origins of belief. The ancient roots: rabbits have long been symbols of luck, fertility, renewal across all cultures, right? Early records of the earliest written records dating back to the 1900s in British journals, noting that children would say it for luck. However, on a slightly macabre note, Adrenochrome is referred to in satanic circles as the white rabbit due to its genetic structure sequence. That's what this is right here. This is the genetic structure sequence of adrenochrome. And thus it is referred to in those circles as the white rabbit. So think about all the times that they referred to white rabbits or whiter rabbits in movies, literature, and TV, and see how they tell you what their objectives are in plain sight. So yes, the White Rabbit in The Matrix, the White Rabbit in Alice in Wonderland, that was written by a pedophile. The White Rabbit in Led Zeppelin song, The White Rabbit. So this thing has been a symbol of both good and bad for centuries. You know what I'm saying? It's just we again don't be knowing that they be using these things to do that. So like in the Matrix, when Neo had to find the white rabbit, what did he see it? He saw it on a female first, on her left shoulder, right? And then when he followed that female into that club in which she was being trafficked, right? Go back and look at the movie. She being trafficked in that club. That's when he was able to first get the understanding that, the world wasn't what he thought it was. So being that it's the first, I wanted to start with that so that way we will understand that, you know what I mean? Not everything is what it seems. And when these people be talking to us, when they say that they speak in forked tongue, this is what they talking about. So different animals have different ties to different elemental structures or pyramidal structures that we see as part of society, whether we know it or not. Like you said with Groundhog's Day. Groundhog's Day, of course, is a symbol. The groundhog is the symbol of time and the passing of time. And they say if the groundhog sees its shadow, then it's going to be cold for another however many months. But if it don't and it stays out, then we're going to get summer early. So these are all old customary superstitions and stuff that they call superstitions, but were actively anecdotal oral laws that were passed down based upon the totemic magic that a lot of our ancestors would practice. Now, today they refer to that as paganism, but becomes more paganism when you're doing things like worshiping the rabbits, when you're trying to dress up like the rabbit. You understand what I'm saying? Like there's a certain element that goes into it that some people take too far and then strive to then embody the circumstance of what it is, when really it's just really symbols and markers that we use to determine different aspects of time. Just like there was a huge solar flare spike right around the time that they tried to dip silver again, and boom, silver went right back up. So they dipped it down to about 65, and then the solar flare hit, and then boom, it jumped right back up to 103. So they can't really sustain the illusion the way that they've been doing, which means that they're losing. So what you have to always keep in mind is that regardless of how it looked, they're always losing because they're working they're working against a huge deficit. That deficit is the accumulated karma that they've been perpetuating since they've been doing the crazy stuff that they've been doing all of these years. You understand? So always keep that in mind, regardless of how bleak it looks. Remember, it's always brightest, it's always darkest before the dawn. You know what I'm saying? So in keeping in time with that, we want to, get into some of the things that we have been talking about, because it's going to be the last one we deal with the gate thing for a while. And due to that, we want to also keep in mind that the reason why most of these things are happening is because they have taken they want to take a feminine approach to control. So what that means is that the society that they want to control can only be controlled if the men are controlled, because men have a distinct need for things to be balanced and are the ones who enact punishment on those who work against those balances. You understand what I'm saying? So based on that, what they like to do is run everything through women. Now, this is not an attack on women, okay? It's just we have to accept the fact that we as individuals are very different and have different roles. The reason why they want women in control has nothing to do with equality. It has nothing to do with respecting women or putting women in positions of power. It is not anything like that, okay? It has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with how women view society. Women view society from the perspective that they want things to be fair, even if someone is not being fair. They don't want the conflict to escalate to the point that someone may be punished. Now, this is not all women, okay? But the majority of the stuff that you see happening now, like the pivot that went from the intense trans, gay, uh, LGBTQ thing, right? That was the intense thing that they were trying to force everybody into, and then even force children into it in order for them to be accepted in this new fake society that they were trying to create, okay? And so they use the empathy factor that women have to want to keep everything at a certain kilt to not move it, even if that means disrupting their own peace to a certain degree. So there was a study done in which one of these sociological CIA backed paid for studies in which they did was they got a situation where they got a group of people together and they had them all play a game. And as they were playing the game, the people who were playing the game properly, right, fairly, uh, would get shocked, right? Excuse me. The people who were playing regular, everybody was good, right? But then every so often, somebody who was actually playing the game fairly would get shocked, right? And in the process of that, they read the emotional responses of the women in particular. And then what started to happen, they started to have certain empathy and they wanted that person to be not shocked. But then they started getting people in the game who started cheating, right? And then those people who were cheating weren't getting shocked, right? But then every so often, somebody who was caught cheating would then get shocked. What they found was the emotional response of the men was that the men were happy when the person who was cheating got shocked, right? The women, though, they found that they were unhappy whether or not the person was cheating or not. They just didn't want anybody to be shocked. So what does that say? What did that say to the study? That basically said is regardless to whether the society or the people are wrong or right, women will want the person, whether they're wrong or right, not to receive a certain degree of punishment. You understand? Where the men are totally different. They were totally indifferent to the people who cheated because they were more about the fairness. You understand what I'm saying? So this study was then given up to the intelligence agencies, and that's when things like feminism became such the thing. Because you can say white supremacy, you could say this or that, but the real issue at hand is feminism. Because what the feminism does is that it stops the women from actually being women. It gives them so much power that they themselves, who are really more conducive to nurturing, are no longer in the position to be nurturers. And when that happens, they tend to throw off the natural balance of everything else. You understand? That is a problem. That is a problem because that also robs the female, the woman, of her actual agency, because it was usually the clan mothers, the women who would be who would make sure that the children were given a certain understanding of wrong or right based upon the social mores of the society that they grow up in. But once that was upended and they were now given the brunt of the whole society, you understand what I'm saying? They now had to overcompensate in areas that were not for them to do, which then threw the entire society into disarray and allowed it to be broken down from the inside. So, again, this is not an indictment on women. This is just to say that women are more easily manipulated in societal norms than men, because men will rebel. You understand? Men will rebel to save their family. A woman will rebel against a family to save herself. Do you understand what I'm saying? Especially when they're given the ability not to uh, be held accountable for things that they themselves would not normally do in a quote unquote normal situation. But if they're thrust in a extreme situation, they will do things that they themselves would never think that they would do. Whereas a man, you understand? A man will draw a line between what is acceptable for him and what he has to do to save or propel his family. A man will stay in a loveless, sexless marriage for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. A man will forsake his happiness in order for his woman, his family, his children to succeed. A woman will sacrifice her husband, her family, her children if she is not happy. Why? Because in this society, she has been giving a false positive, meaning that she has been giving a false narrative that anything she does is acceptable, so long as she is doing it and it gives her happiness. Do you understand? That creates a pathology. Now, add on, now you have the ability to go to a government, and a government, right, would do whatever it needs to do to help perpetuate this. Meaning, you no longer need a man to do anything because the government will give it to you in lieu of a man. This is the only place in the world. You understand? This is the only place in the entire planet where this has seen itself as a norm, right? Oh, sorry. This is the only place in the world where something like that can happen. That's why so-called American women have been almost brainwashed to do this. So what they needed to do was get a bunch of women that would create false narratives that would allow this to be perpetuated amongst the so-called American female populace in order to perpetuate feminism, which was created by the same small hats that created communism, that created sadism, that created hedonism, that created socialism, that created all of these things that really don't exist in the real world or have been proven to work. There is no society in which socialism or communism has actually worked. So they say, well, what about China? What about China? China is not communist. China is socialist. When China was communist, they wiped out over 50 million people by turning the children against the women. Excuse me, by turning the children against the fathers and the mothers, but specifically taking the females, right? Who had up until that point almost been secondary people, secondary citizens in the society. Go read the book The Rare Earth. Was it The Rare Earth or The Good Earth? The Good Earth, where when the floods would come and the little girls would be there, they would allow the little girls to be washed away. That's not right. But those were the things that were used to help perpetuate the Maoist ideal to be able to get the young females down with it, down with the communism, right? And so that pushed China to the brink of extinction. So they had to switch lanes and became a socialist society. Same thing with Russia. Russia went through the same process. When Russia was communist, when the KGB and the FSB and the people was running shit, they almost killed at least 70 million of their populace. They even murdered their own Moorish nobility, which then cursed the actual nation for years. Those of us that grew up in the 80s, we grew up at the point of when the actual communism switched and they went into socialism. But they went into a form of oligarchical socialism, in which a group who was billionaires, millionaires, was able to move the social programs to be able to then take control and salvage what was left of the country. You understand? Yes, the killing fields with the Khmer Rouge. Yes, set up by CIA. What did they do? They started using the Cambodian girls. Yes, yes, yes. That's what they do. Look at what they just did in New York with Mandami. Who was the number one people voting for him? White, liberal, communist, socialist females. But guess what? He was already a millionaire. You understand? Mandami was already a millionaire. His mother, again, a socialist who was from Uganda, who got kicked out of Uganda by what's his name? What's this nigga's name? Idi Amin. He got kicked out. What did she do? Because of that, she was refugees, and then she came over here and started getting that immigrant refugee money through USAID, which is backed by what? The CIA. You understand? And then used her and her family to start to create programming, because her mother was what? A dedicated socialist as well as a propagandist, and they started to employ her to make movies for them. One of the biggest movies she made to start off her career was what? Mississippi Masala, right? Which was about the female, right? Who was thrust into Mississippi in the Patel hotel chain. All of them is racist, right? All of them is racist. And in the movie, it shows you how racist these Ugandan Indians were, because they got kicked out of a country where they're not even from, right? But she was already a millionaire. You know who also funded her? Your boy Jeff, your boy Jeffrey, your boy Jeffrey, your boy Billy, your boy Jeff Bezos, your boy Billy Clint. Ghislaine. Think about this bitch thing. Her name is Ghislaine. Who was what? The daughter of Robert Maxwell, right? Who was what? Emma Mossad, who was also the founder of McGraw-Hill, which created all of the educational books and programming that they gave us during this time. Look at little Mandami right here. Look at him as a baby. Look at Jeff right here. That's probably Jeff baby. That's probably Jeff's baby, yo. And what did they do? Raise this little dude to be a socialist communist, but then he's a millionaire. How does that work? How are you a communist, a socialist? You don't want people to have, you want to do away with harsh, rugged individualism to accept the warmth of collectivism. Commie gobbledygook. More commie lies, bullshit, right? You're not giving up your money. You ain't giving up your mother's money. All of that money came from where? From Jeff, right? From USAID, right? You know who this is in the corner right here? You know who this is? Or allegedly this is supposed to be, you know who this is? Gates. That's Gates. On the left. Yes, that's your boy. That's your boy Gates. Who ain't never make a computer. Who never made a computer in his life. Yet he's the father of computers, right? 1963. And you wonder why this dude is a maniac, why this dude is insane? You wonder why? This is why. So, you know, the white people, they already saying, oh, this is Photoshop. This ain't real. Look a little Mandami. Look a little Kami Mandami and his mommy. Look a little Kami Mandami and his mommy. Right? With the crazy eye killer. Look at this maniac right here. Around all of these demons. Look at these demons around him. And you think that this dude is he's gonna do something for you? Well, who elected him? The white, liberal, female, right? Multi-ethnic feminists. Yes. Yes. Jay said the supervillain lineup. Word. 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 Danny said raised by wolves. Yes. Yes. Raised by reptiles. Yes. In a reptile den. Yes. These maniacs. These incessant maniacs. Lunatics. Sadists. Pedophiles. That's what these people are. Cannibals. You understand? Yeah. Since this nigga's been in office, rape has gone up 11%. Look it up. Rape has gone up 11%. And now he trying to have open carry. You know how many niggas they done locked up in New York for having burners? Now you're gonna have open. Now you're gonna have open carry. Now you're gonna do it. Yeah. And they've hit you with not even real. That's not even real snow. You could thank Billy and Jeff for that. That shit got all types of organisms and stuff in it. So we already off to a worse start. But again, who voted for this? Who voted for it? Also, the females are the, like I said, they're the ones leading the charge for this thing. All because they've been taught to hate, bring down the patriarchy. Like, these niggas are so insane, they done made the Klingons gay. They done made the Klingons gay in Star Trek. Go look at this fake Star Trek thing. Whoever wrote it got a foot fetish, got all types of fetish shit going on in that. Destroyed Star Trek. You understand? Destroy every, because that's part of communism and socialism. They have to break down all the social norms that you have come to love and accept and identify as your societal mythos. It is a trap. It is something they are doing to demoralize the population. And they use the females to do it. Think I'm playing. Look. Virginia House bill. Look what they did. Look at all the females. Look. Again, this is not an indictment on women in general. I'm talking about a specific type of woman specifically. Virginia House Bill 863. So they 86, right? What is 86 code for? Kill, right? When you 86 somebody, what are you doing? You killing them. But let's do the math. So 8 and 6 is 13. So right there let you know, right? So that's 113. So that's 133. So you already know what you're dealing with. Any 30 time you get 33, what you dealing with? Who you dealing with? Anytime 33 come up in anything on the news, Who are you dealing with? Yes, the devils, the Freemasons, right? The sadists, the hedonists, the paganists, right? The ruiners of society, the destroyers of men. What did the Thucydides say? He says the society that permits its scholar, that separates its scholars from its warriors, will have its thinking done by cowards and its fighting by fools. Remember that. What did they vote for? They would reduce the minimum sentencing for rape, for manslaughter, and child pornography, and expected to pass in the Democratic House. Right? Look at all of the females. Who do you think this is going to affect the most? Besides children? Females. But didn't I tell you that they will vote against their own best interests in order to break the patriarchy? Because they believe the world will be better with no men. If there was no men, there would be no women, because women do not create children by themselves. It is a lie. You understand? It is a bold-faced lie. You have never seen any female anywhere on the earth produce a child without sperm from a man. Don't talk to me about IVF. Don't talk to me about the Virgin Mary. Don't talk to me about no goddamn fairy tale. We are in reality. And in reality on earth, the sperm has to hit the egg. It has to in order for you to live, whether you're a female or a male. If not, you're neither. And if you're neither, you don't count. Period. They want to push, thank you, Jelani. They want to push parthenogenesis as if it's a real thing. Because they're trying to base it on a cosmic concept called dark panspermia. That is science fiction. That's what you see in movies like Invasion and Invasion of the Body Snatchers and shit like that. That's where that comes from. It comes from people like Adolf Huxley, Arthur C. Clarke. What's another one? What's another fantastic Freemason pedophile that then wrote all of these science fiction books that niggas is taking as real? You understand? Like I said, these niggas, they don't believe in dragons, but they'll believe in dinosaurs. It's crazy. Thank you. Carl Sagan. Another one. Another one on the island. You understand? No one that they put in front of you as someone you need to pay attention to, coming from the mainstream, is not down with the program. You understand that? Let me say it again. No one that they put in front of you that comes from the mainstream is not down with the program. They cannot afford that. Everyone must follow the script. We cool on that, right? We understand that. Okay? Everybody is looking for Yeshua and everybody to come back and save them. That's why we're in the position that we're in. God help those who help themselves. Be bold and mighty forces come to your aid. That's how we're supposed to be living out here. We're not supposed to be waiting for some mystery God that's been given to us by Mystery Babylon, aka the same devils we've been talking about, to make this happen. Everyone is in the Epstein tapes, okay? Everyone. Everyone on TV is in the tapes. Is in the files. Is mentioned. Everyone. Who you think is not in it, them too. They're in it too. There's no one that's on TV in the past 80 years, 40, 80 years, as long as Jeff been alive, that is not in them damn tapes. So stop picking and choosing who y'all like and who y'all don't. Oh, well, Jay, it was 96. He couldn't have been in it. He wasn't even on then. What? What are you talking about? This nigga was talking about selling drugs from the 80s. He was talking about selling drugs. This nigga shot his own brother. He almost shot and killed his own brother. He sold pounds. This is what he said, right? He sold pounds. They got pictures of him with what's this devil name? What's the old lady that sold all the dope? That was fronting everybody the coke. Everybody remember her? What's her name? Let me see if I find it. Yes. Here you go. What are you talking about? Where you think Jeff and them niggas was getting the cocaine from? Allegedly. Where was he getting the drugs from? For the parties. Where was that coming from? Look. Who this? They be picking and choosing, boy. They be really trying to. Oh well, he been telling you he been selling drugs forever. He been telling you how he was even making records on how you could sell drugs. How lucrative it was for him. Who is this? Who this? Ain't that your girl? Ain't that her? Why is the problem now? This in the 80s, this in the 90s, this right before Reasonable Doubt came out. Why he never went to jail? Why DeHaven went to jail? How come everybody else went to? How come Biggs went to jail? How come Dame went to jail? How come OG1 and what's her name didn't go to jail? Because they snitched. Ain't that Miss Blanco? Wasn't she the heaviest drug? Wasn't she having niggas clipped left and right? You know how many bodies this chick put up? You know how many bodies this woman put in the ground? How many people she had chopped up, cut up, ate up by dogs and shit? Just because they looked at her wrong? Again, a woman. Right? Right? Why is that a problem now? Oh well, you know, he wasn't on like that, so he was just coming up in it. Yeah, coming up as a young drug dealer. This is what he told us. I'm only going by what his raps say. This is his raps. This is what we grew up rapping about. Right? Alibis ain't matching up. Bullshit catching up, right? Right? This was the preeminent drug dealer. So now he didn't do it? Didn't he hang out at the tunnel? Who owned the tunnel? Anybody know who owned the tunnel? You want me to tell you? Ghislaine Maxwell. Your boy Jeff. Didn't y'all know that? Back before it was called the tunnel, it was the Kit Kat Club. Guess who owned it then? Ghislaine. Yes. Yes. For those of us who grew up in New York, we used to want to kill to get into the tunnel. Especially those dumb niggas like me, growing up listening to all these raps and all these niggas and hearing about all of the stories and all of that. Before it was the tunnel, it was the Latin Quarters. Then it was the Roxy. Remember all of that? That's when cocaine was flowing, y'all. That's when that's when CIA just brought it in before niggas start rocking it up. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? I grew up in the era where I was walking to my little fake private school that my mother put me in, Epiphany Lutheran School, walking in the thing, listening to the crack vials crunch under my feet. What are you talking about? This nigga wasn't down. Like what? What? Y'all really like rap that much? Y'all really love hip hop that much, huh? Excuse me, rap music that much. That y'all willing to just overlook all this shit, right? Okay. And what's crazy is Jeff ain't even like niggas like that. He didn't even like these niggas. He hated you niggas. He hated you. He was doing psychological tests with niggas like Noam Chomsky. Remember? Everybody loved Noam Chomsky, right? Y'all all love him. All y'all intellectuals, right? All y'all black boule intellectuals, y'all niggas that study all of this socialism and social economics and poli-sci and all of that. Remember that? This is what y'all went got degrees in, remember? Y'all love that type of stuff. Y'all love these niggas. Well, this nigga was doing whole studies on how stupid black people was. You know why he thought that? Because he was around a bunch of dumb niggas like this. A bunch of sellout dudes that will sell their mother for crack. That would do anything for money. Anything. Except the right thing. The only nigga in the entire hip-hop game that got any type of integrity. You know who it is? To me, you know who it is? You would never even think. You know who it is? G.A.T.E.S. Remember G.A.T.E.S? Did Child in the Ghetto? Signed to Puffy? He the only nigga, the only one, the only rapper to ever feel so bad about what he did when he was strung out on dope and crack and all of that stuff that Puffy and all them niggas encouraged him to get on, that he wound up clapping the dude, couldn't live with himself, and turned himself in. You hear what I'm telling you? That's integrity. That's morals. That's spirituality. You know how strong that man had to be to do that? None of y'all niggas is that strong. Nobody in the industry is that strong. Because all y'all niggas is holding these niggas' secrets. All of y'all. All of y'all. All of y'all is down with it. You want to see who's down with it? Go into a party. Go into an industry party. Throw a rock. Whoever it hit, down with it. He the only one. This nigga Jeff paid Chomsky bread, paid him major bread to find out how stupid black people was and how smarter white people was than them. And Chomsky was real and gave him the statistics at the end of his findings. And this is what he found right here. So-called blacks dumb smarter than white people. Facts. What did Jeff do when he found out? When he actually got the report? Buried the report. Buried it. He said basic black people's IQ, based upon the fact that this is what he wrote in the report. I'm paraphrasing. He said, based upon how so-called black people were raised and how they were instilled with a certain degree of moral and spiritual fortitude, it accentuated their intelligence and allowed their IQs to skyrocket, where Caucasians, i.e. WIGHT, white people who were given everything with less moral values, tend to be more stupid because they were never forced to use their moral fortitude to enhance their overall intellectual capacity. Tell me I'm lying. Tell me this is some pseudo shit. By the way, because I get passionate in talking about this stuff, and sometimes I may use an explicative here and there, I don't want to offend people who have lighter sensibilities and tend to tune off things when they hear curses, even though these are the same people growing up listening to hip hop and listening to niggas call each other niggas and bitches and everything all day for the past 50 plus years. But when I'm talking about it, apparently some people have issues. I also want to put out there.
I really appreciate you saying that because I'm really striving. Just the other day, I was like, yo, I shouldn't have said, shut the fuck up. But we talk with so much passion in our home, I sometimes forget to edit myself because I do know that editing myself is necessary etc. But I appreciate you saying that. I'm in the kitchen working, and I heard him. I was like, yo, of course there's children and Christians and people that we do respect.
And there's elders.
And elders, but it's part of our vernacular, and I think that it was just a way that we were raised to...
I was raised in the gutter.
For me to really just also keep certain shit off of me, just taking the train every day.
Yes.
From
growing up in
Bushwick and
Brooklyn.
Aberdeen to 145th Street. Sometimes you have to be like, yo, get the fuck away, just to protect your space.
Yes.
I remember, just getting rubbed up on the train.
We grew up in a gladiatory pit.
Grab this nigga's dick and tell him the fuck.
Okay,
stuff like, well, how to protect yourself as a young woman who's 5 foot and 95 pounds.
Yes.
My mother really gave me the freedom to use cuss words to keep
these people off of you.
And to keep evil
This is how
away.
we were not raped.
But that is not words.
This is how we were
not
able.
how I want to talk in the public eye all the time. So
also,
thank you for saying that.
Because sometimes I will speak on how the immigrants and the Africans and the West Indians and the whoever, I may be talking about elements of how they have gotten down in our society and against our so-called indigenous, so-called melanated, what I refer to as Moorish American melanated peoples. I don't want you to feel like I hate any group. I do not. I am hard on everybody equally. Okay? I talk just as much crap about the dirty Moors as I do about the Pretendians, the West Indians, the immigrants, the Somalians, the white devils, the small hats, all of them, the Nazis, any one of them. I'm just as equally as exacting on all of them, including myself. So I just want that out there for all of these fake ghost pages that like to leave comments that don't trace back to no actual person, but seem to have everything to say and want to call things that when it's not even that. That's just how I get down. Okay? So deal with it or not. Okay? So as we move on, I'm showing you exactly where this money, where all of this tax money, all this stuff was going. This nigga Jeff had everybody on the payroll, and everybody was eager to be down with this nigga. But again, once he found out that we were smarter, he then went to his handlers and said, we need to dummy down these so-called melanated people who have such a high moral code, and we have to get them to be the opposite. So guess who they used to do that? So out with X-Clan, out with Public Enemy, out with Heavy D, out with any Queen Latifah, anybody positive, anybody that looked positive, anybody KRS, anybody like that had to go. And so they started moving up the people with the less, but they knew it still had to be an art form. And so they had to find somebody who could be the one to do it, to help carry this new wave in. And guess who that was? That was your boy, Aseer, one of the greatest rappers. And remember, when Illmatic came out, everything switched. Everybody talk about NWA, but when Illmatic came out, everything switched. Everybody got on board. Everybody was toting guns. Everybody had thematic albums that basically listed out what was supposed to be done and how to do it, how to cook up crack, how to kill people, how to pimp women, how to do all of that. Now, again, I'm not blaming Aseer. But again, who was the one who put Aseer in position to even get Jay-Z publishing? Who was that? Anybody? Any hip-hop buffs remember? Who was the one who put him in position? Come on. Nope, not Russell. He wasn't signed to Def Jam. He was signed to Columbia. Who helped negotiate his deal to the point that he got publishing off of Jay-Z using his voice? Thank you, Ernest. MC Search. That's right. And what ethnicity is Mr. Search? They said white. Yes. There you go, Dan. He's a part of the Tiny Hat Mafia. Yes. Now, don't get me wrong. I grew up liking Third Base and Pimp Minister Pete Nice and them. I grew up with this stuff. I worked at the Source. I interviewed these people. I listened to the album like I was there. Y'all can't tell me nothing. I was there. I saw the box that was filled to the brim with demos that they never would listen to. I remember when Islam ran hip hop. You couldn't even come out if you wasn't either 5% or Muslim or more or something. They wasn't letting you in. We had it locked down. They had to get rid of that. They had to shut that down. You understand? They had to shut it down. So they said if we cannot control them the way that we want, we have to dictate to them how it's going to be. But they've been doing this from the beginning. Remember, who is the father of Afrocentrism? We ruled 5% rule hip hop. Lakim Shabazz, King's Son, Brand Nubian, Rakim, Two Kings in a Cipher. Are you crazy? We was running it. There's like, no, it was too positive. Melville Hershkowitz was an American anthropologist who helped first establish African diaspora studies in mainstream academia. He is known for exploring the cultural continuity from African cultures and African American communities. He worked with Francis Shapiro, related to the nigga Ben Shapiro from the Daily Mail, another small hat operative. Hershkowitz, anthropologist in the field in South America, Caribbean, and Africa. So if you're dealing with Africa, what does the Caribbean and America have to do with that? They jointly wrote books and monographs, meaning maps. He established the program of African studies and became the first director. He appointed Hershkowitz to the chair of African Studies. Hershkowitz was the founding member, first president of the African Studies Association. What are you niggas talking about? You see why Umar's a fraud? You see why these niggas is frauds? They're frauds. Pan-Africanism is a scam. It's always been a scam. They used it to destroy the indigenous people's history here in America so they can keep your birthright. Period. You know how they say, the females say period? Period. It's a scam. What are you talking about? This is the father of Pan-Africanism. So if he's the prince of Pan-Africanism, this is his father right here. Right here. This is who you serving. This man Hershkowitz. Why wasn't he doing anthropology on the Ashkenazim and them? Because we gotta keep that separate. We gotta keep that quiet. This is why DNA tests are illegal in Israel. Because none of them are from there. That's not hatred. That's not, and how can I be anti-Semitic to somebody who's not Semitic? When the term Semitic goes to the Semitic peoples who are Afro-Asiatic. Does this man look Afro-Asiatic to you? Come on, y'all. Is this man Afro-Asiatic? Is Yiddish an Afro-Asiatic language? If it is, correct me. Correct me. Show me where it is. Where Yeshua and these niggas were speaking Yiddish. Please show me. Phil, Bay said, well, if you squint a little.
Mama, I think my mama about to go back to church.
Come on, man. This nigga look like Mr. Furley. What you talking about? And look, he got the bow tie on. Look how he got the bow tie on. You can tie him right up to the NOI and these niggas. Whoever's mic is on, please mute it so we don't have any issues. Come on, y'all. See, this is what I mean. This is how they be coming in, doing the BS. Now I got to figure out how to find whoever's mic is on and turn it off. Because I can't hear it. Ryan, please turn your mic off. Yeah, I got it, but I can't see it. I'm going to find it right now.
Huh?
I got it. Yeah.
Yeah, we in a meeting, but I just came up.
We good? Everybody can hear me, right? Okay, cool. So this what we dealing with, man. This is what we dealing with. We dealing with people. Exactly. You know you want to something win. Exactly. Come on, y'all. Islam. So yeah, this dude is not. I don't know what we talking about. So we don't have nothing else to really say about Afrocentrism because it's not true. It's not real. It's a scam created to destabilize the Africans, to make them feel like they better than us, to create a division amongst us because we always have to be subordinate to their understanding and their culture and who they are when we always have had our own culture and we are the ones who basically maintain the world culture under the old Moorish Empire that they only want us to accept coming from Spain from 1492, when in 1492 there was no Spain. You understand? You understand? It's a scam. So let's stop with the scamming and let's get with the reality. Them people wasn't that. Those dirty Moors used the dog people to help extend their rule and then recess to the back when they could just try to blend in with everybody else and make it seem like they was basically under the thing when they all working together. Just like today. Just like today. They all fronting. It's all a scam. Remember, they brought the worst. They let the worst out of Europa to come over here and plague us. Right? Because we were so on top that they could not deal with it. So they brought the worst of the worst of the worst over here. So that way we would have to battle, right, these demons while we on the other side, right, while they on the other side would then try to come in and take over things financially. So while we're fighting these devils off and these people off, we had people who looked like us that was helping them, but they weren't us because they were all from different nations posing as us to get down and get benefits here from us by impersonating us. This is the decoy thing that we have been talking about that nobody else has for whatever reason because they probably down with it. This is the plague. This is why they don't want you to have anything. Because if we are doing the best, they are doing the worst. If we start to rise and get to a level of pure ascendancy, it's back to the caves for them and back to the waters for everybody else. You understand? This is Roger Davis. That's who this person was that you see hanging here. He was a young boy. Look at these people here. Look at their faces. Look at them. What you need to understand is things like Photoshop and AI and these things have been here forever. Why you think when you look at these old pictures, the sky is never clear? You never really see what they call vanilla skies, right? Because those skies are fake. They cropped everybody out. We have had photography and shit like that since the 1400s. What you think are Da Vinci paintings and things like that, those is laser prints from back in the days. If they showing you pictures of helicopters on the side of tombs in so-called Kemet, why you think so they had helicopters, but they didn't have photographs, they didn't have pictures, they didn't have laser printing, but they had diamond lasers to be able to cut stone and all this other stuff, but they didn't have none of that? That's what you telling us? That's what you saying. You could watch the damn Flintstones and see how they had the cameras. Remember when Fred would take the picture, he had the little demon, he had the little dinosaur inside the camera, etching the picture out and then sticking it out of the damn camera. Remember that? These pictures right here is even Photoshop. Look at the sepia tone over this dude's face. This is a print. This is like a what you call a Xerox picture. Ask yourself this: if Ida B. Wells was the one who wrote the book on all of the lynchings that was happening in the South, and she lived in New York, how she knew about the lynchings almost a day after them shits happened? When there's no telephones, there's no radios, and none of that. How she knew? Who told her? Carrier pigeons? She had pigeons? And what? You mean to tell me these niggas, these are the people who made all these buildings? You think these niggas right here made these buildings right here? You think this is the niggas that was doing all of that? Fresh off the boat? These niggas don't even have names. Some of these niggas don't even, look, this nigga don't even have teeth. That's what you think? That's what we saying. Look at these demons. And the thing is, how come nobody has ever done a study of finding out who the descendants of all these people are? We got their pictures. We got their pictures. So who's going to do the study on tracing who these people are, who these people's descendants are today? I'm ready to fund that. I'm ready to put money on that. Y'all niggas could find a dime from a satellite, right, that's in the upper atmosphere. You could find the serial number on a damn dime, but you can't find these niggas and who their ancestors are? We can't do that? Why not? What did Oscar Goldman in $6 Million Man said? He said, we have the technology, right? So we got the technology. How come ain't nobody doing that? All of the African museums, all of the Pan-African museums, all of the slavery museums that these niggas that you done seen in your whole life, you done heard in your whole life. None of those Negroes have made that thought of even doing this. How come? Because they don't want to know. Matter of fact, they don't want you to know. You know why? Because some of you niggas is having babies with them. Yup. Some of y'all is having babies with them. Some of y'all done had babies with them. Some of y'all is dating them. Some of y'all is what you call it? Giving your sperm to them. Yup. Today, this is what y'all doing today. Proud of it. Look at these ones on the side. This nigga Don Lemon is constantly telling you that white supremacy is the worst thing in the world and it's destroying the country. Look at this nigga. Look at him. This is his husband. What are you talking about? You bend over for white supremacy every day. You do it every day. You wake up with it every morning. What are you talking about? Donnie, what are you talking about? Look at Miss Lightfoot. Her name Lightfoot. So you know she definitely descended from some original people here. Nope, this is her husband. This is her husband, man. Whatever this thing is right here. Right? Her dog. See the dog? Look who's holding the dog. Look at Omar. Again, what type of woman is named Omar?
A man.
Right? Exactly. A man. Thank you, mommy. Yes.
Unless it's Omaria.
He said Omaria. She said unless it's Omaria. Yeah, maybe.
No, Omaria.
Omaria. He said Omaria. See, we being kind to these. Look at Skamala. Look at Skamala. This your AKA. I got this demon on Facebook. I'm constantly destroying. I'm constantly shit on this thing because all this thing can do is talk about how great the D9 people are. We're about to get into them in a minute too. But yeah, talking about Kamala Harris, we would be in a better place or whatever. Nigga, if this chick was president right now, China would have been invaded. We'd have been done. We'd have all been over. Do you understand that? We'd have been over. She'd have handed the whole thing. What did I just tell y'all about these women?
At least she would have made collard greens for them.
She'd have made Xi Jinping collard greens in the tub. Yup. He'd have drowned her in that tub too. With them greens. With them greens. Yup. Yup. Look at Kamala. Look at Katanji. Black, brown, or whatever her name is. This can't even tell you what a woman is. She's on the Supreme Court. She can't even tell you what a woman is. This is who she go home to every day. These niggas talk black, think white, bank green. Don't you understand that? Omar married its brother. It married its brother. Why? Because consanguinity and incest is a part of their culture. Do you understand that Somali's been here from the 90s? They have billions of dollars invested in this country. They have built banks for themselves. They've done all of that on your back. All of it. And then give you $1. What they'll do, they'll scam you off. They'll let you pitch drugs and shit in front of their thing and then call the police on you to get the reward. That's what they do. Like every other ethnic group. And now we finally saying, no, we done with this. We done. You understand? We got more in common with these devils, with these demons right here that was eating us, lynching us, killing us. We got more in common with them than any of these people right here. That is sad. All because Mr. Hershkovitz said that anybody that live here can be African. Just like the whole melting pot thing. Remember they said America's a melting pot? You know who created that? A small hat. Small hat created that. You know who created the whole, all of the stuff that you and I have been suffering under has been created by them. That's not hate. That's not lies. That's not anti-Semitic. That's none of that. I told you, I hate everybody equally. That's what my uncle used to say. He said, I'm not racist. I hate everybody equally. What are you talking about? Yes, all in this proxy war against Moors. Yes. All so that way you don't know that you're a Moor. All because of that. That's what all of this is about. All to keep you from proclaiming your Moorish nationality. It's that simple. I've been proving this to y'all for over 30 years now. You understand? Over 30 years. I'm 52. Over 30 years I've been saying this. Proving it. You understand? And I'm thankful. I'm thankful. So thankful for y'all. You understand? For the people. Because if not, I'd have been crazy. I'd have been insane by now. I'd have been totally insane. Because this will drive you insane. Because everybody who told you about virtue, everybody that told you about camaraderie, everybody that told you how to be honest and what it means to be an upstanding person, this, that, all of them is down with this. Everybody that told you it's important for you to have knowledge of yourself and know who you are and know where you come from and all of that. All of them people have been down with this, have been working against you. You understand? They hate you. No, they hate you. It's not the other way around. They hate you. Because you and I are the one who received the covenant. You and I are the one that whose ancestors brought them out the caves, taught them how to bathe, taught them how to eat, taught them how to read, taught them how to function in the human family. We did that. And then when they got too out of control, what do? We had to start locking everything down. To the point we turned the entire planet into a prison to hold them. We turned the entire planet into a prison to hold them because they had got that out of control. But that was unsustainable. It's unsustainable. You cannot have a prison planet. You can't do it. After a while, the inmates is gonna escape. But they don't escape on their own. It's always the jailers that help. How you think the dope get into the prison? Don't y'all watch Mayor of Diggstown? Don't y'all watch these TV shows? How they get the dope in the prison? The guards help them. And that's what happened. The guards started helping these niggas because they started identifying with them, started having sex with them because they was around them for too long. They fell from their noble nature. They started to emulate them. They started to do things with them. They started to have pity on them. They started to have babies with them. You understand? They started to have babies with them. That's when it all went to crap. And then the real knowledge could not be passed on orally because some of these niggas couldn't even speak. They didn't even have they couldn't use words. Yiddish is gibberish. It's gibberish. It's not even real. It's made up. It comes from grunts and oinks and stuff. Get the book The 13th Tribe by Arthur Koestler. He tell you this. They used to defecate on each other to stay warm. Do you understand? And you're having babies with these people? It's not even Pig. Yiddish is not even Pig Latin. Pig Latin is more of a language than Yiddish is. Pig Latin is still a derivative of Latin. It became Pig Latin because that's what the what you call it started to speak. The ones that was a little more less inbred was speaking variations of that, and then Moors looked at it like, oh word, wow, look, this dog is talking. We'll use that version of it for the rest of them. I told you about Sallow. Go back and watch that movie, but ground yourself before you do it. It's intense. This from the book American Antiquities and Discoveries by Josiah Priest. You say all the Americans had the same God, Yehovah. Yo-He-Wah. Yehovah. Yahweh is a storm god that was created to occupy a certain position due to the people who we'll call the Israelites that was moving up and down and wanted to eventually have their God take over. But that was when the Deuteronomists started taking over. I don't even think we're going to be able to get to that one this week. We'll get to that next week in terms of how these gods now started to be ours when none of them was. Okay? It's extreme. Yes, Sallow is extreme, but it's real. I think it was real. And they just saying it was a movie. So look. Boom. A few years since the published work entitled A View of the Hebrews, in which he labors to establish the American Indians worship but one God, the great Yehovah, right? And or Jehovah of the scriptures. This is vehemently opposed by the philosopher Rafinesque. Now, Rafinesque wrote the book Primitive Black Nations, which was inspired by another dude named Count Volney. Count Volney wrote a book called Ruins of Empires that none of these crackers and these people, these Afrocentrists people don't want to tell you about. But these are the guys that was actually starting to break down and starting to wake up to the fact that they are not the original people nowhere, that they are literally a homeless race and don't have nothing. So boom, this was the god of the Choctaws, right? Right? Who we called the Choctaws, right? This was the god of the Choctaws and Florida Indians only. You hear that? Yehovah was only the god of the Choctaws and the so-called Florida Indians. So the Moors in who they call the Seminoles and the Choctaw Moors was the only ones dealing with Yehovah, okay? Many other tribes had triple gods or triumphant gods, as in Hindustan, right? Having names nearly Sanskrit. He's talking about here in America, though. He's not talking about India over there, because this is the original India, right? But neither does this disprove that some of these tribes were of Hebrew origin. He used Jewish, but we know that that's fake. Polytheism, a plurality of gods, right? Idolatry and a complex mythology prevailed among all the most civilized nations of this country. Okay? Listen, all the ancient religions were found in America, which has prevailed in the old world as the earliest of ages. Theism, Sabiism, Magiism, Hinduism, Shamanism, Fetishism, which is like voodoo, hoodoo, animist, totemic theology, right? Etc. All but Judaism. You hear that? So Judaism is a scam. You heard? All of this stuff existed here except Judaism, which again is a scam created by Romans. He says few examples of affinity between Indian languages and Hebrew given by Mr. Smith in his work belong only to the Floridian and the Caribbean languages. So we're talking about the Taino, we're talking about the Locono Confederacy, we're talking about the Arawak, right? Who was all the way up here, all the way up into Canada, right? Mr. Rafinesque says he could show 10 times as many in the Arawak, right? The Gauarian languages of South America, which we also know as South America, we know is all Grenada and all that. But what is that compared to with the 100,000 affinities with the primitive languages? All the civilized Americas had a priesthood or a priestly caste, and so had the Hindus, the Egyptians, the Persians, the Celts, and the Ethiopians. Were they all Hebrews? No. Tribes are found among the ancient nations, who are what? The Arabs, which are the Moors, the Arabs, the Moors, the Berbers, who are the Moors, the Celts, who are the Moors, the Negroes, who are the Moors, and who are not Hebrews. Hello. The most civilized nations had castes instead of tribes in America, as well as Egypt and India. The Mexicans, the Mayans, the Musicas, right? Who are like the Aztecs in them. Because Aztec is a fake name that's created to hide all of these other groups. So the Mexicans, the Mayans, the Muhizicas, right? The Peruvians had no tribes. The animal badges of the tribes are found amongst the who? The Negroes, who are the Moors, and who? The Tartars, as well as our Indians, i.e. the Moors. The Ark of the Covenant and cities of refuge are not particular to the so-called Hebrews. Many Asiatic nations had them, also the Egyptians, and 9/10 of our Indian tribes had none at all. So what are these Hebrews talking about that Yahweh is the ultimate God? What are you talking about? What are you talking about when it was only the Choctaws and the so-called Florida Seminoles, both Moorish groups, who were dealing with Yahweh? Excuse me, Yehovah. I told you, the Israelites were scammers. They were Egyptians who wanted their own thing, and they needed to elevate themselves because they were practicing pagans, and they were into human sacrifice and slavery. I'm going to show you that also in the Bible. Yes, actions taken by, so now jump ahead now. Yes, actions taken by the Spanish government in the 21st century are viewed as formal legal reversal. Y'all didn't know that there was a such thing as the right of return in Spain? That they said all the Sephardic Moors could come back and get their property and land back? Did y'all know that? Because the birth rate in Spain is 0 and them niggas is dying out. Why you think since we left they've been doing all of these rituals and making all of these giant structures and pictures and all of this and reenactments of us kicking their behinds? Did you know that? Yes, Italy too. Because Italy, that's not the name of that place. Italy's real name is Etruria. And you know who established Etruria? The Moors. You know what those Moors were called? Etruscans. You know who they peoples was? The Carthaginians. You know who they other peoples was? The people who became Romans. Yes, they want y'all all, they want us all back. Because it's over. They don't have, they're done. Because their birth rates is 0. 0. Why you think they let all them immigrants come in there from Africa and from all these other places? But they don't know how to build no civilizations. The civilization builders is us over here. What they don't tell you is that a lot of the geoengineers and all of that that's over there in Africa helping them build up their infrastructure is coming from melanated people over here going over there and helping them do that. They always want to make it seem like they bringing Indians and Africans and Nigerians and stuff over here to do the work because we stupid. No, it's the opposite. If that's the case, then why all the niggas come over here to go to school? Duh. Duh. Ferdinand and Isabella, known as the Catholic monarchs, sought to create a religiously unified nation after the Reconquista, taking back the Iberian Peninsula from the Muslim rule. Get the book, The End of Iberian Rule in America. So if Iberia is only in the Levant and over there, how come we have a book that talks about the Iberian Peninsula being here in America? How is both working? How y'all freak that? See, small hat logic functions under the guise that Negroes don't read. That's the only way that it is able to perpetuate itself. You understand? You understand? You know how much money that these small hats have made by employing people that look like me and you to write books in African studies, when we have just proved that all African studies were created in the 1960s, which then happened to drive by 1970s the so-called African movement. Isn't that interesting? Isn't it interesting that the reason why most of the Black Panthers was getting ran down on by the country was because they were trained Marxists and communists? Is Marxist and communism a part of African nationality? I'll wait. Did Marxism and communism originate in Africa? No. So how come all of these African warlords and dictators were Marxist communists? And how come most of them that took control after the colonial era ended was all married to white women? Can somebody answer that? How come Lady Flor was the one that named Nigeria when she left, and you Nigerians is still calling it that? But then you're going to tell me that the reason why we're Moors is because that's what the Greeks called us, when we're the ones that beat the hell out of the Greeks for calling us anything other than Moors. Don't believe me? Get the book Ancient African Presence in Early Asia. Get the book African Presence in Early Europe. Get the book When Nations Gather. I could do this all day. I could do it all day, throw with these books, because these Pan-Africanists, they don't read these types of books. Niggas can't tell me nothing about Ivan Van Sertima, because I was in Harlem during his funeral, when his funeral was taking place, and nobody was there. So that's why they never talk about him. They don't talk about Diop. They don't talk about these guys no more. They talk about all the white scholars, niggas like Alex Haley, plagiarist, died penniless, couldn't get no money off of Roots, because one of the small hats wrote that. Pay the African to write that. So the Spanish government approved the law in 2015 that offered citizenship to the descendants of the Sephardic Jews who were expelled in 1492. The Spanish officials, hold up.
Call from Sherry Crystal.
Hello. Please leave a message after the tone.
Hold up, y'all. Yeah, from 2015. From 2015, they was offering this. But we just found out what? That these Hebrews didn't have no land. They didn't have none of that. That there was only two groups on the whole continent that was here, but we also found out that all the religions in the world were here first. That's why this map makes all the sense. That's why we exist in heaven. These niggas got to climb up to get with us. We got to go down to get with them. Do you understand what's going on? So wait, it gets better. Or worse, depending on how you look at it. Look at this. You're talking about the Hebrews, right? The so-called Yehudas, right? Now, we just read all of this about them, right? And these Hebrew Israelites and these Hebrews, and they always telling us what Yahweh and this, that, right? All the niggas dressed like Thunder the Barbarian, right? And they always trying to talk crap about us, right? What we ain't doing, right? Right? What the Moors wasn't and what the Moors is and this, and that, right? Got this from one of the Moors on Facebook, Islam to him. Posted this, hold up. Right? Always telling us what we not. Always trying to bring up what the Moor. Everybody always say what the Moors ain't. You ain't a Moor. You ain't this. Moors ain't that. Moors ain't that. But these niggas never even heard of us. They never even understood what they really are, because they don't know what they are. You understand the Hebrew Israelites is Christians? Do you understand that they're Christians? Do you understand that they're funded by the government? You know that, right? Y'all keep talking about the Indians, the $5 Indian or the $5 Indians. They funded by the government. No, these niggas, they funded too. Everybody that is with the scam is funded by the government. We the only ones that's not. Well, those of us that's not 501c3 temples and stuff like that. But that's a whole nother story. You understand what I'm saying? Wait, let me get them out. So yeah, so they took talking all of this crap. Everybody got something to say about Moors, but nobody is one but us, right? But they gonna tell us what we are when they don't even have no real understanding about what they are, because they don't exist. It's another scam. Judeo-Christianity was created by the Pharisees and the Sadducees when they was in Rome. And they perpetuated the idea when they was captives in Babylon. They never talk to you about that. They'll talk to you about everything, but they never talk to you about when they were slaves in Babylon, do they? Nah, we don't want to get into that. Because that's the energy that they're using to flip the energy on you, so that way they can keep control of you. Look at this. Look at this, G. Hold up. They all siphoning energy from the Moors. The Moorish paradigm is the only paradigm that has been consistently fighting against Rome and all of the mystery religions. We are the only ones on earth that have been consistently banging on all of you interlopers and traitors. Sorry, not sorry. We are the only ones who have done this. Everybody else has gotten down with it, including the dirty Moors. Since y'all like to say we just hating on her. No, we not. Slavery. Everybody talk about slavery. The Hebrews always talk about, oh, we were slaves in Egypt, and the Egyptians enslaved us, and it's slaves, and right? How can they enslave you when the word slave only applies to Slovenian people? Are Egyptians Slovenian? Anyone? Are Egyptians Slovenians? No. So how could you be enslaved if you're not a Slovak? Can you explain that to me? No, you can't. So that means what? You're lying. Now, if you say you're enslaved, if you're saying that you were a prisoner of war, or if you're saying that you were forced to indentured servitude, that's different. But the only people who that applies to is who? The Moors, right? Because we're the only ones who fought back. The rest of you niggas laid down with them, had babies with them, had amalgamated seeds with them, and then used those seeds as decoys to come and take what was rightfully ours. Because we never made treaties with people. That's another scam. We never made treaties with people. We wrote the treaty and gave it to them. In order to have a treaty with somebody, you have to be equal. These people were never equal to us. So why would we give them equality if they never had it? Would you give your dog the ability and right to sleep in the bed? The audio? Y'all can hear me, right? Okay. Would you give your dog the right to go into the fridge and get food and do whatever it wants because it lived with you? Huh? No, you wouldn't, right? So why would we give power to somebody who had no power? That's why when they say that the Moors fell, they're not talking about to Spain. We fell to one another. You understand? This is from their Bible. This is their Bible they love so much. Look, your male and female slaves are to come from the nations around you. From them you may buy slaves. You may also buy some of the temporary residents living among you and members of their clans born in your country, and they will become your property. You can bequeath them to your children as inherited property and make them slaves for life. But you must not rule over your fellow Israelites ruthlessly. So what did we just learn, class? What did we just learn about the Israelites? They're slavers. They are about human bondage. They are about hate, because you have to hate the human condition to enslave your neighbors. And we just read that the only two people in the hemisphere, in the world, that was dealing with the so-called, what we're calling the Hebrew religion, was who? The Choctaws and the people we'll call the Seminoles. And they wasn't even dealing with Yahweh. So that probably, we can't even put that jacket on them. Yahweh came as a foreign storm deity that was turned into a universal God by the Deuteronomists. And then those Deuteronomists then started to expand and extrapolate him into this almighty Father God that would then become the ultimate father of their other God. It's a scam. See this picture right here? This is how it worked. Look, England, France, Germany, Poland, Italy, and what's the other one? No, I want to say Russia, because Russia didn't have black slave. See? Swiss, Netherlands, yeah, whatever. Portugal, yeah, all of them. Look, see, what are they doing? They drawing energy from the heart, right? And creating a blood sacrifice. Because this is the heart on fire. Yes, and they got it under the zodiacs. Look, Saturn, Jupiter, Mercury, Cancer, Venus. What is this? Sagittarius. See that? The 7 nations, the same 7 nations that invaded us over the course of the past 250 years and put all of these fake gods on us. Tell me I'm lying about any of this. Come to my face and tell me I'm lying about any of this. No, y'all niggas want to be everything other than Moors. Y'all want to be Freemasons. Y'all want to be Indians. Y'all want to be everything. Everything but just yourself. That's why they betrayed the prophet. That's why they did all of the grimy shit to him and his movement. That's why they try to replace him with all of these false idols, these false fake niggas who saw him and was jealous of him and did everything that they could do to supplant him, right? And then today walk around you talking about Islam more, Islam, yeah, we with the prophet. No, you're not. No, you're not. That's why he shut the shit down when he did. And y'all was mad, and then y'all murdered him, right? Y'all murdered him, and then from the murder, y'all created all of these other fake niggas to try to take his place. How did they do it? They did it by using Babylonian magic and sorcery. You understand? You understand? Okay? This is what they doing. Matter of fact, here go the book. There's a book on it. You can read how to do it yourself. Put spells on all these niggas. All you gotta do is learn how to read Sanskrit. It ain't hard. It ain't hard. I've been teaching myself. It's not hard at all. It's nothing. Hold up. Yes, these dirty Moors. These dirty Moors. Who was calling themselves Phoenicians. Who was calling themselves Venetians, right? Who were basically Romans and these types of niggas. They was all small hats. All Pharisees, Sadducees in the new era. You understand? Paul, who set up Christianity, he didn't know Jesus at all. He didn't know Yeshua at all. At all. Paul was a Roman. Paul was a liar. You understand? The Pauline doctrine is what got y'all niggas into sacrificing, listening into Rome, rendering unto Caesar what is Caesar's. That's who gave that to you. Yeshua ain't say that. He ain't say none of that. He ain't tell y'all to do none of that. Somebody sent me this thumbnail. I didn't create this, so big up to whoever did. But it represents black nobility. This is them. This is what these niggas was looking like. See they little slave right here? Gonna do the victim. Here go all of the Stevens, and then this is Carl Candy right here. Get this book. This book was given to me by one of the biggest Freemasons in the conscious community, believe it or not, when we was cool. But once he started flipping at all of that, that was a wrap. No, they said he was an Etruscan. He wasn't. Paul wasn't, because the Etruscans was gone by his era. The Etruscans was gone by the time that the Romans came up on the scene. The Etruscans, all of their property got confiscated, and that the place where they buried their dead was called Mount Vatica. That's what they built the Vatican Church on, the Church of Rome, the pagan Church of Rome. Again, another scam. Another scam. None of this stuff is real. All of these niggas be lying, bro. All of them is lying. The original people is the original people, and they can't flip that. It's the original flags or depictions of the original flags of your Phoenician people. They flipped it. They want you to make you believe that all the Phoenicians was into baby worshiping and baby eating and all that. Lies. Lies. Lies and more lies. They just be lying. Ain't this similar to the Lebanese flag today? No, they supplant. They make the stuff that they do and then try to put it on you. Then kill everybody that remember the real story and then employ their own people to then perpetuate it. Because they're liars. They're all liars. Look, this is an old depiction from Ellis Island of what the invasion was seen as during the day. And then next to that, we got the KKK walking, right? But peep it and see if you see anything interesting about this. Here we go. Look, you can't read on his flute, but on his flute it says U.S. immigration. And look at the rats. Look at the rats. See? Bloodthirsty rats. Look, the Italians, the French, the so-called Netherlands. See them? And look who's dancing. The Turks, the French, the Prussians, the Germans, the British. Sending all of their rats, all of their dirty black hands. See how it says the black hand? See that? But then look at this. Look at the Klan. You notice anything about them? Notice anything about them? Yes. You see that, right? They all melanated people. What's up with that? What's up with that? Look at this brother right here. Oh, but I thought the Klan was only killing black people. But how they only killing black people when these people is black? Look at them. Why? Why was they dressed like that? Why was they dressed like that? Anybody know? Let's find out. Remember the story, Cyrano de Bergerac. This is why we need to start reading Shakespeare and all of that again. That was all about the destruction of the Moorish Empire. Read them stories. It's all about the Moors and how they fell from one another. Not to no white people. It's only white people acting. But that was all about your fall. Read Cyrano de Bergerac. And it was all about a big-nosed Moor who didn't know who was relegated to a thing based upon his appearance. And he was in love with this girl, but he couldn't get her. So he had to do what? He had to get a decoy. He had to get a decoy to act so he would give him the words, and the decoy would be the one to build with him. Oh, but what about this? Where they at? The reason why they're dressed like that is because this is an old Moorish group that were referred to as the Negro Brotherhood of Spain. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. We can't be dealing with that. We can't get into that. Get this book too. History of the Negro Soldiers in the Spanish-American War and Other Items of Interest. Where's the Pan-Africanist with these books? How come we never heard about these? Oh, look. La Historia de los Negritos a través de 10 nombres. Oh. Oh. Look at the black Jesus behind them. Why? Because this is what the Converso Moors had to do in order to conceal who they were back in the days when they were being expelled. When the Inquisitionists was putting them up and trying to kill them and stuff, the only way that they could show solidarity was by acting as if they was Christians. And so they took the dunce caps, which was mocked fezzes, and then put these on as secret, and they would go out there and fight against the Castilians because they had a secret brotherhood called the Alumbrados, an old Moorish brotherhood that was dedicated to putting Moors back in power globally. And the only way that they could stop them was by doing what they call forced immigration, right? And that forced immigration then turned into what? Decoyism. So the white people, right, started to dress up like them, right? Because these was the ones that was hanging the whites. Get the book White Cargo. Get the book They Were White and They Were Slaves. They said that they was hanging these white people. They was doing all of that to them first. So in order to stop this, the whites started to get the dirty Moors to help them get the sheets, get all of that, and then they started attacking black people. So then it turned the black people against the original clan. And then the original clan was then supplanted, right? Got rid of them, and then they started going after them. And then the fake Klan was then endorsed by the United States government by the time the coup d'etat started in 1871 with the Organic Act of Congress. That's why the original Klan uniform had the crescent and the star on it, because this was us fighting the eternal war, because World War One didn't end until what? 1865. So from 492, I-492 to 1865, we fighting these niggas. But no, that's World War One or World War Two. And see, bunch of dumb, smart niggas telling you all of these fake lies about fake history. Then we come with the real history. Now everybody got a problem. First, y'all was telling us that we wasn't Moors. Then you started telling us that Moors was white. Then you started telling us that, okay, Moors was white, but they was only from Europe, from Africa. Then you started saying, oh, well, they're not from Africa, they're from America, but they was the ones enslaving everybody. Now you done retreated to all of that now. Now it got to be Moors, depending on how you spell it. We were the merge, and they were the merge, and like, you sound stupid. Get off the coke, man. Put the coke down. Stop with the TikTok scholarship. It's rotting your brain. It's making you sound stupid. I've been in this game too long for y'all to be coming up with these fake semantic arguments that have no basis in reality. No war has ever been fought in the world based on what vowels you're using. You understand? This is why they established the GATE program. This is why they did that, to help you break away from the Moorish identity. Because that is what was preserving us all the way up into the 1900s. You had Moorish kings and queens here in America fighting to preserve the more perfect union. But because they spell it with M-O-R-E, of course it don't apply to the M-O-O-R Moors, right? Right? That's what y'all saying, right? We ain't never lose power. We ain't never lose power. You know why? Because everything that we created, they using today. So how we lose power? How? When they need us to run everything. Wasn't GPS created by original woman? Wasn't the radiator created by the original man? Wasn't the cars created by the original people? Wasn't the planes created by, like, everything that we using today came from people who were Moors. Because we were the most technologically advanced people on the planet. To this day. Oh, wait, it gets better. Get better. Let's freak them out some more. Oh, look at that. Where did this come from? Who's this? This is one of the Moorish generals. This is one of the Moorish generals. Of course, they're going to call him. See how they flip it? 6th Virginia Colored Volunteer. Who was running Virginia? Wasn't Virginia part of the Potawatomi Confederacy? Yes, it was. This is one of the generals of it. Oh, look. This is them in front of the millinery hats. Look. Sweet. There goes Sweet Daddy Grace. There go the Prophet. There goes Suleiman Muhammad. Wait, where the other one? Let me move him over so you can see him too. Oh, look, there go Father Divine too. Ask yourself this. How is Father Divine getting Moors, melanated people, the ability to vote at a time when the so-called Negroes was forbidden from voting? How did Noble Jew Ali help put Oscar the Priest, who was a pilot, who was also a pilot and a congressman, how he got him voted on a voting block when in the 20s when so-called Moors had no power? Anybody explain that? How is it that we had Moorish generals fighting the Spanish-American War in which they try to make you seem that Teddy Roosevelt was the white man running it, when he was just a basic, he was a grunt, just like Pike and them. They worked for the Moors. They worked for us because they were slaves. Because the global Slavonic slave trade happened because, or the thing broke down because it was a global prison break. And they had dirty Moors that helped them escape. And because it was a global catastrophe, everybody paid for it. And then the dirty Moors that helped them escape wound up putting them in position. So that way they could then rule from the shadows. What we call the black nobility, who you call the papal families. We'll never see them. Matter of fact, you could probably see black nobility niggas. You can probably pass these niggas in the street and you would never know. Because they look just like you. That's how good they are with it. But you keep looking for the white man. You keep looking for the oppression. You keep looking for the white man who's putting you under bondage. And he's got the white supremacy. And he's the this and he's the that. Yeah, but remember, white used to mean black. And black used to mean white. I just told you they worship an inverted God. This is why they had to use your energy collectively without you knowing. This is why they set up all of these parameters and hoops and things for us to jump through and not know who we are. Because these people, their time is literally up. They have nothing left. You understand? There's nothing left for them after this. This is the last hurrah for them. They have already said that Gen Z is the last generation in which so-called Caucasian people are dominant because they only had a shelf life for 600 years. You are generous by saying 6,000. They ain't been here that long. Again, that's more propaganda, giving them more life and more extension than they actually really had. They have a time delay mechanism in them that is there to go off, and it already has. Why you think Jeffrey Epstein and these niggas was doing genetic experiments to try to create a so-called master race? Galton and Darwin tried it, and what did it do? It extincted them. There were no descendants of Darwin or Galton or any of those people who were part of that experiment left. They're gone off the planet. So it's going to be the same thing for the Somalians. It's going to be the same thing with all of these people that have been practicing these things to stay light-skinned. It's over. It's over. That's why the technarchs, they want to create the technate of America, right? So that way they can create a perpetual system race so they could slow down their ultimate destruction. They're not even human anymore. You understand, when you eat people, you cease being human. One of the diseases that you get from eating people is called a Kuru virus. It's called the Kuru virus. Look it up. It's real. Look at the effects of the virus. Then look at the people in Hollywood that you see look like they're withering away like extra crackheads. And then you tell me what's really going on. Because that's what's happening, guys. You cannot continuously eat people and think you'll get away with it and think you'll have no problems in your genetic line. It's over for you. Everybody that they show you on TV that is involved in any of these extraordinary programs they're doing is a part of it. Remember this dude just got clapped? Well, guess what? He was a part of the Ukrainian task force as well as the IDF. Remember this chick, Renee, got clapped? Remember her? Oh, no. She's a part of the military. She got military ties as well as connections to the Haitian Bill Clinton and them child kidnapping ring. Remember this dude? See, here they go. Here she go. Here she go. You just think that she's just a regular person, right? No. I told you, they cannot afford anybody in the public that's not going with the program. Erica Kirk, she already moved on to the next nigga. Don't you find it odd that Nicki Minaj is buddying up with this chick, buddying up with Donnie and them, when her husband is already, what? A known sex offender, right? Look, we can trace all of this back to Jeff. All of this go back to Jeff. He was the nexus point. Remember, symbolism will be their undoing. Yeah, Renee, fake. Alex, fake. Erica, fake. John of God, fake. Oprah, fake. It's fake. They're all fake. It's a scam. Stop believing it. That's why black people, so-called black people, are doing the best thing they could do right now by not participating in nothing. Let it all burn. Let it all come down. Let it all happen. Okay? Let it all. This is the first time ever that you've been in America and they watch some ritual of some so-called original man getting murdered. And y'all complaining? Y'all complaining about it. Let's hear what some of the sisters are saying about the secret societies, D9, and the rest of these gay boule devils. Okay? Listen to this.
That, oh, Divine Nine is different from the Freemasons. Absolutely not. They tell you in the candidate syllabus, in the ritual, which says doctrine, which states truth on the side of it, that the founders were influenced and this traced back. So I'm reading directly from it. Okay. And so you have Minerva is all present, is all throughout the ritual for Delta. I mean, you can't get around Minerva. Okay. Minerva is everywhere in Delta. If you're not familiar with Minerva, it's called Minerva Pallas Athena. Okay. Minerva was known to be a goddess of war and destruction. And mind you, after we cross over, meaning you're reborn into this organization, a lot of Deltas take on the nature of this deity, which is why a lot of Deltas become aggressive. And we the nuck if you buck saints in the club. Amen. We're all of that. We're the aggressive ones. We're the wild ones because you take on the nature of that deity. It's very similar when you have AKA that has Atlas and Dionysus. That's the goddess of wine and fertility and fun. And so you would see a lot of AKAs, which was beauty and pretty, but they be toe up, they be drunk in club. Okay, so a lot of you see Apollo, which is proper out the side, Jamal Bryant, Lord have mercy. All of these different pastors are part of out the side. They take on the deity Apollo. And if you aren't familiar with the deity Apollo, which is why they call themselves pretty boys, well, Apollo was very much so known to have sex rituals and all of these demonic things, but Apollo was also an effeminate deity. Apollo was attracted to both men and women.
When she said what she said about Apollo, you can certainly see that on those guys.
Yeah, it is. It's amazing how so many of these men pledge to these deities. And you just mentioned that the Kappas are following the god Apollo, who had sex rituals with both men and women. Every time I read the scriptures, we see that effeminate people will not enter the kingdom of God, or people who abuse themselves with mankind. Yeah.
Sold our soul. And everything, all of the things we go through in these rituals I'm about to name, they work you up to that final selling of your soul. Because basically what we did is that we sold our soul. And that is why we got fame and riches and all of these things when we crossed over and we became little gods on the campus because sold our souls. I mean, and we're going to share it with you because it's in the language of the actual rituals. And so,
Wow.
yes, we take on a lot of the nature. You know, Minerva is the goddess of wisdom, all these things. You have Athena, who is over destruction, war, but she also dealt with barrenness, lots of those things. Majority of my line sisters, including me, the moment we crossed over, we entered into high level promiscuity, abortions, drunkenness, all of these things became our nature. Afterwards, you know, we took on the nature of a lot of these things. Omega Psi Phi, the deity they serve is the Shekinah light of Omega, which is like Anubis, which is a very similar. It's a female god. That's why every time Omega talks about Omega, they talks about she, her, into the temple of the gates. Swing ye gates, oh open Omega, and they're serenading. It's like a bunch of strong men that are literally protecting that Jezebel deity, but also Minerva in a was Jezebel. This thing that is on the screen is it's a structure called the Athena of Parthenos, and this is literally the erected idol of Minerva that they had in Greece. Okay, so I want you guys to think about the temple of Athena. This was in what's in the right hand. You have the shield, you have the spear, you have all that, but in the right hand is the goddess Nike. Okay, this is actually very important because this particular structure is actually worshiped and it's talked about when we do we have a song called the pyramid hymn. Okay, and in this song, it's a song because we have songs that we're allowed to sing publicly.
Please forgive me, please.
That, you know, this is all Black culture, but everything we're about to go through is Greek. Amen.
You heard that? You heard that, right? You heard all of that. Big up to them sisters dropping it. Big up to everybody who goes through that satanic ritual with them dirty blacks and them boulets and them Satanists that's posing as Freemasons and everything else, D9, whatever you talking about, because all of them niggas was the ones that sold us out. All of them. There's a brother named Dr. T on TikTok. Check him out. There's another brother, John. This was from a thing on YouTube by a brother named, he got a page called John Amanachuk. Amanachukwu. AMANCHUKWU. Go check that out. But I'm playing that to show you. Just like I showed you all of these symbols with the Moorish brooch, right? See that? This is all letting you know who is running the shit on behind the scenes. It's Moors. It's dirty Moors who trying to keep the real Moors like us from our true inheritance because they only want it to be them. Okay? They trying to keep us away from the gold and the silver that's already ours. We already got it. You know what I'm saying? We got to start stacking. We got to start doing what we doing. I'm telling you, the solar flares is working so that way we could get all of the silver and everything else so we could start funding our own trust and do what we doing. You understand? Since me and my queen personally, since we've been on it, this is what we've been on. And it's been working. You understand? You got an idol. Like one day we was into all of that, coming up with Bobby and all of that. And then one day things was going so bad. I said, looking at that altar, I'm looking at these things and all of that. I said, look, man, all of y'all niggas don't exist without me. So you know what? We shutting this whole thing down. Took the whole altar down, got rid of the candles, got rid of the incense, got rid of all of that shit. You know what happened? Everything started flowing. That's when I knew. I was like, oh, nah. As a high priest of Anu, I'm supposed to know that all of these are symbolic references of alchemical processes that already exist within me. The kingdom is within. Nothing that these niggas do, no type of ritual that these niggas do is more important than you. No man should be calling another man his worshipful master. If you do, then that's on you. If you out here and doing that type of stuff, then do it. But don't try to get people, because they be saying shit like, oh, well, we don't recruit. We get people they lying. They're always lying. You understand? That's what you number one have to understand. If they got to keep another man's secret to keep you from understanding what they really doing, then that means what they doing is not worth it. It's a lie. Because they know if you see it for what it is, you're going to call it for what it is, and they don't want to do it. So they created different programs like the G.A.T.E to be able to tap into your energy, tap into your understanding, so that way they could figure out how to preemptively take control of your mind and program you through things like this to be able to channel the divine energy that you truly have, because you are innocent, you are chaste, you are pure, you are originally white, right? Not in skin, but in purity and love, truth, peace, freedom, justice, and equality. And they don't have it because these niggas have been bending over. These niggas have been putting on dresses. These niggas have been raping women, eating children, doing everything that they can do to make it impossible for them to be redeemed. And so they want you to be like that because misery love company. And the real issue is that it's all in our families. Our families, especially the baby boomer generation, was the most selfish generation in the history of the world, because all those niggas sold out and all those niggas decided that they was going to get money. And after they killed Bobby and Johnny and Malcolm and Martin and Medgar and all of the rest of these niggas, right, and Janice and Jimmy, and killed everybody that they used to set up all of this crap, and all of them niggas was down with it. Get the book Weird Scenes in the Canyon. Get the book Thanks for the Memories by Kathy O'Brien. Get the book The Conspiracy Against Rock, and you'll read that all of these people came from military organizations. They was all scammers to begin with. The Beatles never played instruments. Paul McCartney was beheaded, right, and replaced by Billy Shears back in the days. This nigga that we seen as Paul McCartney ain't the real one. Everybody know. But they've been lying about the shit for the past 50, 60, 70 years. Why you think none of these niggas can retire? Because they got to do this shit till they dead. Because that's the deal. That's why all the music sucks. That's why all the movies suck. That's why everything is whack. Because there's no real soul in it no more. And we see through it. So the veil has been lifted. Stop trying to be like these niggas. Stop trying to get down with them. Because all they're going to do is try to set you up for a sacrifice. That's what they do. That is their religion. And in so-called United States, you have the right to practice whatever religion you want to practice. You understand? That's why they put us in the GATE program. That's why they put us and paid our parents and them off to be able to exploit us. Use our kinetic psychic energy to be able to manipulate everybody and put everybody in the trick bag. That is what happened. That is what's happening. That is what's been happening. And anybody says it's not is down with it. That's it. That's it. Everything was a scam, right? Everything was a scam. Everybody was lying, right? And everybody that started to lie and was down with it is now being exposed. Epstein is just a code for everybody. You understand? It's all a scam. You understand? Even pigeons. They've been killing pigeons for years and putting cameras in them. Anybody have any questions? Anybody have any questions before we close this out? We are all waking up to the fact that we've all been manipulated. So if we all accept the fact that we manipulated, that means the manipulation ceases to exist. You understand? It doesn't work without your participation. That's why they're so hell-bent on you getting participation. They have not had any black body sacrifices. They need the sacrifice of the original people of the covenant to their fake God Yahweh and Christ and Allah and all the other bullshit that they've been enslaving our people to. All of these false foreign deities that ain't got nothing to do with nothing other than slavery. Aren't you tired? Aren't you tired of being enslaved? Aren't you tired of people telling you what to do? I didn't get into Moorish science to have to answer to another man who probably don't even know as much as me or you. I didn't get into knowledge and consciousness and so-called melanated power theology to be lied to by people who look like me, Umar Johnson and the rest of these niggas who are following the dictates of Melville and Hershkowitz. who created all of this crap? When you ever seen a dashiki plant in America? When you ever seen a black power fist pick made in America? All that shit made in China. And we talking about black power? No, this is black power is truth. Black power is dark matter power, dark energy power. That's where it's at. Black hole power, 0 point power. That's where it's at. Singularity, entropy. That's where it's at. Because that's where we're going. The solar flares is helping us. The animals is helping us. You ain't hear about that elephant that ran around killing everybody in India? Even the animals is done with these niggas, bro. So what are you holding on for? Allah ain't bring us this far to leave us here. And by Allah, I'm talking about the true Allah. Arm, leg, arm, head. You, your higher self. That what you see every day in the mirror. Every day. That's what's here. They turned on the icebox because they trying to shut Leviathan down. Because Leviathan, when it come out, it destroys anything that's inorganic. So you know what that means? All these niggas is out of here. Off to the top. They out of here. Because it only listen to us. It only listen to us. We the only ones that could bind Leviathan. Read the same Bible that was written by Paul and these niggas. We're going to get into that next week. Go through the whole dispensation of how all of that, or what each part of that Bible go through. So that way now when you read it, you know exactly what to do with it. Thoughts on the Shahid Bolson? Oh, he cool. That's the Irish dude. See, my only issue with that is y'all got to really read the Quran, man. Really read in it. And don't skip over the parts that they not talking to you about. Like the parts with the Al-Zut and the parts with the because y'all got to figure that out. Y'all got to get into that. I like him. I like him as a social scientist. I like what he's building on. I like the fact that he's not Muslim, that he's a Muslim. He seemed like a good one. But again, there's parts in that book that ain't got nothing to do with us. And if you really read it, there's parts in it that's kind of wild. And if you calling that dude your prophet, you know what I mean? I can't speak on that. But again, look up the Al-Zut in regards to him, in regards to the Prophet Muhammad, and you see what I'm talking about. It's not cool. It's not cool. Somebody gonna have to deal with that. I'm already dealing with all of this. So y'all look that up. There's videos on it. White boys going all the way in, and nobody has anything to say. They keeping that quiet. They keeping that part really quiet. So look that up. Again, thank you guys for participating again in all of the great testimonials that we got about the GATE program and all of that. You know what I'm saying? But real quick, I wanted to show y'all this before we close out. This a joint that I just got that's on its way to me from Turkey. Cause I gotta do this speech, like lecture type thing at a school. I just can't get into what school it is. Cause you know, they think, but yeah, I'm gonna try to see if I can tape it. I don't know. But yeah, on the left though. This on the left, look. I'm about to bomb these niggas with this shit, bro. Like, show them how it's really done. Like, yeah, see this joint right here? Yeah. So anybody else, you just hit me up at House of L, yeah, and the chainmail come off. So I'm gonna just wrap the turban around this part right here. I'm gonna go in. I got the presentation ready. By the end of it, I'm gonna have all them kids trying to get their nationality straight. Watch. 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 No, we doing it. Like, we going in. Like, nah, this is the time that we supposed to really be ourselves. So if you really want to be yourself, regardless to what that is. You understand? There's this zesty gay dude on TikTok that's killing them. He dropping more science on the Moors than Moors I know. Big up to him. I don't know his name. But he always start his video. Hello, racist. That dude. Check that dude out. He bombing it. So yeah, check that out. I'm trying to think. Anything else? Anybody else have any questions? If you haven't already, please subscribe to www.G.A.T.E.S.com. You can go in there and get the and get access to all of my links. You know what I'm saying? Cordoba Organics and everything. I think we really went in on everything. I don't even know the gate thing. We really went stupid on that. If I come up with any more information on that, I'm definitely gonna let everybody know. We'll definitely do another series on it because there's a lot. I'm still reading through some of the CIA docs on that. The CIA docs on that is just like the Epstein files, so it's a lot. So the little I did get, I'm really thankful of that. And thanks to them, man. Thanks to them for the Freedom of Information Act and dropping all of this shit out here. Because, they play both sides. You know what I mean? So they're evil and horrible. But at the same time, I got to respect this dude. They gave it up. And it's out here for everybody. Just like the Epstein stuff. There's so much stuff in that. Everybody is implicated. They done implicated everybody. You dig? So yeah, man. Yeah, I got a new book coming out too. And in the book, I got a whole section in it that's a prayer for release. It's called the Prayer of Release, written by a Moor named Shanor Bey, I believe his name is. And it's a whole prayer of release for people who are in that thing that they can do, and it's for each degree. So whatever degree you in, once you get the book, you're going to be able to basically literally pray yourself out of that. Not pray, P-R-E-Y, but pray, P-R-A-Y. But you got to be solemn in it, and you got to be willing to give up that apron. You know what I'm saying? Give up all of that BS that y'all niggas have been doing, and repent. You know what I'm saying? Before it's too late, because y'all gonna be the first ones talking about you ain't know and what this man told you and how you thought it was. No. You can only be held responsible for the things that you do, not nobody else. So if you decide to call that man worshipful master, that's on you, homie. That's on you. Yeah, I'm gonna sell it. I'm gonna have it exclusively on the app, so you'll be able to purchase it directly through there. And yeah, it's basically about our sultanate, how we set that up, and how we did it. You know what I mean? So yeah, please stay tuned for that. Please subscribe. I'm trying to think of anything else. Anybody else have any other questions? Again, stay away from the pink drinks. That's what I think they was doing with the vitamin water. Why they was pumping that for so long, and then after a while it just disappeared. It was like nobody was drinking vitamin water. You realize that? Again, I'm not saying vitamin water was in it. All I'm saying is the same components seem very similar to all of this. You know what I mean? Same type of thing, in and out. So again, this was part 3 of the G.A.T.E. series. So everybody who's on the app, I'm gonna try to upload it tonight. And then yeah, man, anybody else have any other questions, you just let me know. All right. Maybe because certain people are allergic to Pepto-Bismol due to the penicillin in it. So again, guard your genetics. The end is not yet. We are winning. You understand? We are who we've always been. We have risen above so much. Pat yourself on the back for not selling out. You know what I'm saying? Give yourself a round of applause for not selling out, for not selling your soul, for not selling out your people, for loving the original woman, for loving the original man, the original child. We all we got. Fuck these niggas, okay? And again, sorry to the elders and all of that, but sorry, not sorry, all right? Peace.